There's a couple of reasons for wanting to go tubeless on your bike. There's rolling resistance and puncture resistance. Puncture resistance because there's no inner tube to puncture and there's a fluid inside the tyre which seals small holes as you ride. And rolling resistance because you're losing the weight of that inner tube. So, potentially up to 300 grams off a wheel. Now there's two ways of converting your bike for tubeless. There is a conversion kit which allows you to use almost any tyre and rim combination, or a dedicated tubeless setup. The main of these being the UST system by Mavic. You can look for the little Mavic UST logo on your rims to see if they're compatible, and you'll have found that your rims will have come with a little valve stem which is dedicated for that purpose. And there are a whole bunch of tyres out there which are either tubeless ready or UST compatible. UST is the ultimate in fit and forget setup, but they're quite a bit more expensive, so a lot of people tend to go for tubeless ready. What we're going to look at today is using a tubeless conversion setup with a regular rim and a tyre and the conversion kit.
To convert your standard tyre setup into a tubeless conversion, you'll need obviously some quite specific things, one of which will be the conversion kit itself, which comes with a latex solution. Then you've got your rim strips, rim tape. To help the process you will need plastic tyre levers, a pump obviously, you can use a track pump, CO2 cartridges, or if you do have a compressor and you know how to use one, you can also use that because that will help with inflation. We'd recommend you definitely wear safety glasses using a latex solution. You don't want any of that near your eyes at all, your rim, and you will obviously need a tyre. And also don't forget, if you are converting to tubeless, you will need a bucket of soapy water. Step one then is to first prep your rim. Some conversion kits will recommend that you actually enlarge this hole by drilling with a hand drill, just this first hole here. All that's doing is essentially enlarging that in order to create a better seal when the valve sits in. This particular instance we don't need to do it, and you will find sometimes you won't actually have to do it at all. Regardless if you have had to drill it or not, you will need to actually apply the rim tape provided in the tubeless conversion kit. The best thing to do is start off with going around just a couple of times, punching a hole for the valve. Okay, now we're good to move on to the next step. We need to fit the rim strip. To do this, first you need to dip it in some soapy water, which will help lubricate it and stretch it around the rim. Now we've got the rim tape on, we're going to do a dry run, minus the fluid, in order just to check that there is a sufficient seal between tyre and rim. If there isn't, and you are finding that you're struggling to seat the tyre on the rim and it to inflate correctly, it's best to go back to step 2 in order to add more tape. Okay, so we've managed to get the tyre inflated with no fluid in there. There is going to be some sort of slight leakages because there's no fluid in order to seal those gaps, but right now this has worked, so we know the seal's good, so now we can go back and actually put the fluid in. Let's open up the rim strip again before we put the tyre on for the first time to check the seal, and I'm going to wet the bead of the tyre as well, just to help it sit on a bit easier, slip in place. We're going to add the tyre sealant to the tyre. Start off with giving the tyre sealant a good shake for 1 to 2 minutes just to agitate all the molecules in there. We're then going to add it using the cup provided in the tubeless conversion kit. For this particular tyre, because it is large volume, we are going to use an entire cup full of the sealant. Okay, so we've put our tyre sealant in the tyre and we've carefully reseated the tyre on the rim. Now with our safety glasses on, we're going to re-inflate the tyre. We're looking to go up to about between 35 and 40 psi. Right, that seems to be up and sealed. What we will need to do now though, just work the sealant around the tyre. The easiest way to do that is actually bounce the tyre off the floor, and as you do so, rotate it with each bounce, roughly moving it 3 to 4 inches. Okay, so that should have worked the sealant around the tyre for the best part anyway. What we do need to do just to help it settle is rest it on a surface suspended off the ground, just to try and let all the sealant work its way around. So we'll leave that side down initially for around about a minute, and then we'll flip it over and do the same on the other side again. Okay, so once you've rested the tyre for a couple of minutes either side, just to help spread the sealant around, best thing to do then, pick it up and just go around visually checking for any sealant bubbling through the sidewalls If there is any, best thing to do is go back to the old drop and roll method where you're just banging it on the floor, trying to get that sealant into the holes and to fully seal it, and work your way back again from there. Let it settle again, and hopefully then it should be fully sealed and you're good to go.